everyone, it's Katie here from the Scrappy Sisters, and I have a fun video up for you today. It is the start of the International Scrapbooking Weekend. I guess it's International Scrapbooking Day, but it's a weekend long celebration for most. And I am starting off doing a challenge from the Confessions of a Paper Addict Facebook page. So they are celebrating, or we, as part of the Confessions of a Paper Addict DT, we're celebrating International Scrapbooking Weekend with, I think there's 9 challenges all up, and they're actually not being released until, Saturday the 2nd of May in Australia and New Zealand, but which will be Friday the 1st in the US. So when this video gets released, it is the 1st of May, so it's a Friday, and I am releasing a sneak of a challenge that will technically be released tomorrow, but Danny did a beautiful live video over on the Confessions of a Paper Addict Facebook page with this challenge as her inspiration for her layout that she scrapped live, and so I released mine early as well. So the challenge is a colour challenge, and it is to use only 3 distinct colours on your page. So obviously I'm using blue right now with the paint. Now I've used a baby wipe actually to apply the paint, and I'm also applying a blue Nouveau embellishment mousse as well. So I'm kind of counting that as one distinct colour. It's blue. I know I'm a bit loose with my interpretation, but we're going with it. Just roll with it. And so I'm using a baby wipe, and I've discovered I quite like using a baby wipe for painting. Now, hear me out. I know it's a bit weird. The whole reason I did it is I didn't have a paintbrush handy, and I really need to get some more. I've damaged quite a lot of my cheap ones by not washing them properly, and they're falling apart a little bit. And so I just grabbed a baby wipe because I had it handy, and you know, it will apply paint. But I think the reason I like it is because it applies the paint quite thinly, so it doesn't warp your paper quite as much. So I haven't prepped this paper with gesso, and I've just using the American Crafts textured white cardstock, which you can buy in bulk from many places. I get mine from Spotlight in Australia. So that's what I was using. So it's not mixed media paper or anything like that. And yes, it still obviously warps a little bit with having the mixed media on it, but it's much better using the baby wipe because it applies such a thin layer. So I'm really liking it, and I think I'm going to go with it. Does it waste paint? Yes, because the baby wipe absorbs quite a lot of the paint. So bear that in mind if you don't want to be wasteful. It does waste paint. Now, this is a mustard/yellow coloured border that I'm adding to my cardstock. Now, I make some mistakes. I have to pull it off. I do this a couple of times. Golly gosh. And you would think it only occurred to me in the video that I released before this one, which went up this morning, and it is a design team layout as well for Confessions of Paper Addict, and I used wet glue when putting on my border, and that is the first time I have ever used wet glue for putting on a border. And why have I not done that earlier? It makes so much more sense than trying to fiddle with double-sided tape that you have no wiggle room with. Now, this paper wasn't cut straight. I hate this trimmer. It doesn't cut straight. I'm not a fan. I would like the 12-inch Tim Holtz guillotine, but I can never get it in stock. And a few people did give me recommendations on where I could look for it in Australia, and I haven't had any luck. So if you do know, please let me know, because I actually have a little bit of scrapbooking money put aside for me to spend on something scrapbooking related, and I haven't really had much catch my eye this year, so I would really like to buy that trimmer. So if you know where I can get it from, let me know. So there we go. I'm just adding my border and just sticking that down. I'm pretty happy with it. Is it perfect? No way. Is it close enough? Absolutely. I am not someone who minds if things are not perfect. So I am using this cut file from Confessions of a Paper Addict. Now, I know you're going to ask me what it's called, and I don't remember. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I can't remember what it's called. I can't remember, but I will leave it linked down below. And it is, I've used the Sunny Days collection from Maggie Holmes, and it is documenting photos of my son in his sandpit. So it's just one of those shells that you can get from Bunnings in Australia, but They're a dime a dozen. You can get them lots of different places. They're just cheap little shells. People often use them for putting water in or sand. And it's his first sandpit, and it was his first time really kind of interacting with sand. He does have it at daycare, but he doesn't love the sandpit and he doesn't really go in there very often. So I bought him one for home so that we could do some more outdoor play, and safe to say he's still not a massive fan. This was the first time he tried it and the texture was a bit much for him, but it was very cute watching. So that is what the photos are, and obviously I wanted to document and tell that story. So I'm layering up my photos just with some cardstock. So I put them on white cardstock first, and now I am layering them behind pink papers from the Sunny Days collection. So if you haven't picked up already, my main 3 colours are pink, blue, and that mustard yellow colour. Now, obviously I've used white because there's white cardstock. And one of the pattern papers that I use to back is pink and yellow spot, but it is on a more of a cream base than a white, or it's an off-white colour. But I'm kind of just allowing that. So yeah, you know, it's my interpretation of the challenge, shall we say. It's totally allowed, right? Anyway, that is what I'm doing. So it doesn't matter. I've already done it. Now I am just figuring out my placement of my photos because I knew that I wanted one to be underneath the cut file. So I wanted to make sure I stuck that down first before I put the wet glue on the foam of behind the cut file and stuck my cut file down. So I'm just sort of positioning that second photo flat, and then I will use the wet glue and stick it down. Now somebody, and I don't remember who it was. It might have been Linda Kane, one of our lovely subscribers. I don't actually know who it was. If it was you, let me know in the comments down below. Recommended that I try, what's it called? It's right here. That I go to the reject shop in Australia and purchase some adhesive Eva foam sheet. I don't know why it's called Eva, but it is. 12 sheets, and they're A4 size, maybe. Yeah, A4 size, I think. And so that is what I'm using here. So they are adhesive on one side. So they're like the fun foam. I guess it is fun foam that often you hear people in America talk about. And I knew the reject shop had foam. But I didn't know it had adhesive foam. So yeah, it's been great. I've only used not even half a sheet, and it's fabulous. So I will keep using that while it is affordable. I love Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. They are one of my favourite dimensional adhesive, but they're not that cheap really, and you can go through them quite quickly when you do scrapbooking. It's all right on cards because obviously you're using much smaller surface area, you don't need as many of them, but certainly with scrapbooking I end up using a lot. So I'm going through here and I'm going with a shell theme, as you can see. So I am adding shells to my 3 clusters, and again I'm going with the pink, the mustard and the blue tones. I've pulled a couple of shells off the sticker sheet as well as one of the shells off the chipboard sheet as well. And then I just thought, why not add these birds? I mean, you know, I'm not at the beach, we're in my backyard, but that's okay. So I add a pelican. Well, I guess they're 2 pelicans actually. A pelican and I don't know what that other bird is, but I've added those. And then I popped in an ice cream, and it was not quite at this point, but you'll see soon. I realised that ice cream, it's pink base, but it has an orange stripe through it. So not really one of my colour schemes, but we're just rolling with it because, as you'll see in a minute, I can't pull it up. So I did try to pull it up because I went, wait a minute, that doesn't match. But I couldn't without damaging it, and we just left it. So just pretend that you can't see that orange and let's just leave it at that. I'm going to add a couple more ice creams, and here's where I think, oh, I shouldn't have put that ice cream down, but let's just leave it. We're going to wreck the layout. But I add a couple more ice creams, one to the other 2 clusters from the sticker sheet. Now they're clear stickers, so they do work quite well, and I add another little one up in the right hand cluster as well. And then I add my title, and I think we're pretty much done, apart from of course splatters, because I add splatters to everything. So the title says my first sandpit, and then in my blue thickers and then in the white small thickers it says, what is this icky stuff? So that is my title, and I am adding some navy splatters, and then I also add some blush pink splatters and some, I think it's called mustard yellow Heidi Swap Colour Shine. So I'm sticking with my 3 main colours, and I'm adding those in the mists as well. And I kind of add a lot of mist, I'll be honest. I sort of go nuts with the mist. I kind of keeping with the mixed media-y background I've got going on. So I decide to add quite a lot. And that's it. Make sure you go and check out the Confessions of a Paper Addict Facebook group, because there are some awesome things happening for the International Scrapbooking Weekend. If you're watching this after that, still go to the Facebook group, because Virginia does awesome stuff in there. She often has free cut files for members of the group, and we have just fun chats and sharing and inspiration, and it's just a really lovely group to be a part of. So definitely go and join. I will also obviously link to the Confessions of a Paper Addict cut file shop, so you can see this cut file, but also all the other ones. And if you are here between the 1st and the 4th of May, there is a massive sale going on, so go and check that out. But we will see you guys tomorrow, and have a wonderful day. All right, guys, bye.